Sundress and a golden smile. She's a sweetheart in a little while, and she speaks soft like a lullaby. And she just turned 23. So say
Good morning, sunshine.
How's it going? Look at us wearing pink this morning.
Look at that.
Breast Cancer Awareness Month in June. Every day is Breast Cancer Awareness Month for us. So yeah, nice shirt. I like that.
Thank
Is
you,
that
brother.
Heliconia pink by chance?
It is Helicone pink.
Very good. I knew that because you told me earlier. So
Absolutely.
what's up, man? Episode 11
Listen,
in the house.
Is that where we're at? I lost track,
11.
honestly. I don't
We're at
even
11.
count anymore. Bro, today I want to talk about something.
Uh-oh. Wow.
Interesting.
This is going to be good. Pat's jumping
Yeah.
right in.
I think it's something that we both know is very hard. And that's
you know
what
it was
happens
hard?
when you're doing the work, healing, trying to show up better, and your partner's just not keeping up.
Oh, dude, this is going to get deep and dark really
Right?
quick.
I want
like
to talk
it.
about that because
Let's
I
do
think
it. Let's go.
we've had different conversations. We had the difficult conversations episode. We had the overthinking. We had the attachment styles.
Mhm.
This kind of led things into this. What do you do when you're in a relationship and you're willing to do the work and your partner is not keeping up? Give me your first thoughts on this. Just
Are you
right off
asking
the
me
bat.
right now?
Oh yeah. Just
so,
what are your thoughts on just mainly?
okay, so Mario now, I'm gonna be like, obviously communicate with them instantly and be like, what is going on, and we need to go to therapy because obviously anything I'm doing is not working right now, or you are not happy because you're losing yourself somehow. So we need to figure this stuff out. That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying now. 4 years ago, anxious attachment me, like really bad, and poor mental health. I would probably buy something, to be honest with you. I would
Yeah.
buy something really nice for myself and make me feel better about the situation and ignore it. I would ignore it a million times over so I don't have to talk about it. That's what I would do.
So would you say it's happened to you or it's never happened to you where like
Yes.
you or your partner want to, work, better themselves, go to therapy, and you or your partner couldn't keep up?
Yes, but here's the issue with my partner. She couldn't keep up, but she kept on trying and kept on trying and kept on trying. And I kept on running in the other direction. That was the dynamic of our relationship, where she would always tell me, we need to talk about finances. We need to talk about the businesses. We need to talk about the fact that you're never here. She would say these things, and I would always come up with an excuse or try to justify it. I would play used car salesman with her brain to be able to sell her that her thoughts really aren't valid right now, and my thoughts trump anything to do with hers. I'm speaking from experience, Pat, and that's why it's easy for me to talk to you about this now because I know how much work I put into changing my ways and understanding and setting boundaries within my life and being respectful to the people around me. And, but yeah, I'm speaking from experience, bro. Like that's what I did. So, and
Okay.
I know I'm not the only one. There's a lot of people doing that right now.
Yeah, there is a lot. And it's crazy is that for me, it's the opposite. I was the one chasing to go to therapy and my partner was avoiding.
Always? Like you always had that?
Well,
within
no,
you?
this is my last relationship, like that 7-year
Oh, the last
relationship that
one.
we talked
Yeah.
about. That's exactly this situation is exactly what ended the relationship.
Okay,
Because
so I want to hear on your perspective then. Like, so you're the one, and so this is good because I
Yeah.
was the opposite of you.
Exactly.
So what kind of things did you see from her that was it similar to what I'm talking about? Do you think that?
Yes, but I could sum it up in like a few words, basically. So, in that relationship, what happened was, one morning I ended the relationship. Basically, I ended the relationship because it had been a few years that things were kind of off, and I ended the relationship.
Mhm.
And that morning, it was Father's Day, back in 2022. All right, Father's
Okay.
Day, 2022. I have a brunch with my family. I head over to the brunch. I tell my ex, "You're staying home. We're done. Like I can't do this anymore. I can't do this anymore. You're not there. You're not present. I don't want to take you with me when you're thinking about work and stuff and blah blah blah."
Right.
So went to the brunch, and then when I got to the brunch, by the time I got there, the family already knew that we had separated. Like she had sent a message to the whole family, "Hey,
Damn.
yeah, it was crazy." So everyone, like, I walk in, everyone's looking at me like, what the hell happened, right? So I sit down, and then I explain the situation of why I decided to break up with her. And obviously, you know, my parents, my brother, everyone's like, Pat, you can't just give up like that. 7 years, maybe you should try therapy. And I said, you know what? You're right. It's the only thing I haven't done. And so finished the brunch, went back home, got home, sat down with her, told her, hey, you know what? I'm willing to give us, you know, a seventh chance. We should go to, we should go to therapy. So do you want to find a therapist, or do you want me to find a therapist? I asked the question. She
Yeah,
said,
yeah.
I got this. I'm going to find
Oh,
a
nice.
therapist.
Nice.
This was in June. Okay.
Okay.
July, August,
Yep.
September,
Nothing.
October,
Never.
November. So
I know
months go
that.
by.
I know that feeling.
Yeah. So months go by. We're roommates at this point. We're roommates.
And going back to when you asked her, when she said, I'll take care of it, you felt good, right? When she said, I'll take
No.
care of this?
No, I didn't. Because,
Okay.
and I'll tell you why, because she had broken my trust already. She had, like, this wasn't the first time she'd say, like, hey, I'm going to do it. And she didn't do it. So I was like,
Oh, so you kind of,
you know,
yeah.
I was like, yeah, we'll see.
Smelled
You know,
fishy.
I'll see it. I'll believe it when I see it, is what I
Yep.
was telling myself. So months go by, and then come November, or I think it's October or November. Anyways, whatever. I sit her down again while we're eating supper, and I'm like, hey, you know, where are you at? Where are you at with the therapist? Like, it's been months. I'm pretty sure it doesn't take months to find a therapist. Like, there are websites. I don't know about you in the United States, but here in Canada, there are websites to put on, to be put on a waiting list. And you do have,
we have websites
nice.
in the United States.
You're so advanced, bro.
We just started like 2 weeks ago. www. When's the last time you heard someone say W? Oh, yeah. You and your damn triple W's.
Yeah.
When you tell someone a website, do you say triple W all the time? It's like they say, hey, where do you find blah, blah, blah? Do you say triple W?
All the time.
Do you really?
Yeah.
God, and you're so young. I don't even say that anymore. And I'm
I'm bringing back tendencies. What are you going to do?
I don't know. Okay.
So
and we're back.
We're back. This commercial was brought to you by.
I'm sorry. My Adderall's not all the way here.
It's good. It's good. So yeah. So basically, I sit her down and say, where you at with this? And the answer that she gave me was, I've got bigger things to do. I've got better priorities. Shit. Right. And I'm like, that was the one thing you weren't supposed to tell me. Mm-hmm. And that's where it ended. Basically, that's where it ended. It was like I was done. And so this brings us back to today's conversation. What do you do when you're in that kind of relationship where you want to make things work and the other person is just not keeping up or has no interest of doing it? That's tough.
What do you do?
That's tough. And I feel like there's a lot of people like that.
But hell, for me, turn your Discord off. It goes back to the Discord noise. I didn't know that Discord is only that noise, by the way.
Yeah. You can't change it.
I was having lunch with my daughter and her fiance, and they heard the noise, and they both look at their phone, and it was my phone. It was something to do with our Discord, and they're like, "You have Discord, Dad?" I'm like, "Yeah, duh." I'm hip. I don't know what it does, but I have it. Going back to that, it's such a tough conversation to have because, I've talked to people in the last 2 or 3 months literally about this stuff. And they asked me, I'm like their spouses, basically. Like they were asking me like, what did you do? And what did this and what did that? And how do you put up with it? And I think it goes back to attachment styles. That's a big one for me. Like if you're anxious, if you're an avoidant, obviously you're like, okay, good. Do you want to go now? Which suitcase are you taking? Because I'm taking the blue one. I think attachment styles. I don't know. I think attachment styles has a lot to do with it. Like, so if you came to me and say, hey, we need to talk, my knee jerk as an anxious attachment would be like, oh my God, I'm going to be alone. If I don't say the right thing right now, they're leaving, and I better say the right thing. So listen to what they're saying. And then you listen and they say, I really think that we need therapy. And then my anxious attachment would say, okay, respond with, yes, you'll take care of it to make her happy in this moment. Just make her happy in this moment. And I would say whatever she wants me to say, because I'm making them happy in that moment with the back of my mind with full conviction, knowing that I have no no, I have no ambition to do anything that I'm saying because I just want to make the moment go away. I'm feeling yucky right now. I don't want to talk about the hard stuff. So I'm going to make this moment go away. She's going to be happy or he's going to be happy, whatever situation you're in. And then we'll go about our day and then won't have to come up for a while. And next time it comes up, I'll say something else. But in your situation, that was like a gut punch. Like that's an extreme gut punch. Like,
But that's
4
why I'm
months
asking you,
later.
is it attachment styles? Because in attachment style, if you're anxious, you will do whatever it takes for the relationship to work.
True. But if you have mental health issues, bipolar, ADHD, and that kind of stuff, you kind of just like bing, you just kind of go elsewhere. You feel you fulfill yourself with something completely different in that moment.
Right. But here's the thing. I kind of feel like it might not necessarily be about attachment styles. I feel like it's like the person is just not willing to grow. And you can't force someone to grow. Like some people are comfortable, no matter your attachment styles. You could be anxious, secure, or avoidant, and just be comfortable. And excuse me to say this, but you could be comfortable in your shit. There's a lot of people that are comfortable in their shit, meaning like, you
Absolutely.
know, they go
Babies
to
are comfortable in their shit.
babies are comfortable in shit, but so are adults, which is the weird part. I mean, they'll go to their 9 to 5 to a job that they absolutely hate. They'll go back home to a relationship that they absolutely despise, and to them, it's just like, meh, this is my life. You know, I'm comfortable in my shit.
I don't think it's okay. Yeah, I agree with you, but I think there's factors there, Pat. I think if they have kids, if they have younger kids, they put up with that shit. You know, they'll go home and they'll be like, "Oh God, I got to see him today, or I got to see her today." You know, but the kids are there, and the kid, you try to hang on for the kids, and you try to hang on for the life. Or now we're married. I've heard this before. My life sucks in my relationship, but I know she's going to take half if I leave her. I literally that's the only thing holding them together. If I leave her, she's
I've
gonna
heard
take
that
half
too.
my shit.
Yeah, I've heard that too, unfortunately.
Holy crap. Your life sucks. You're putting her through hell because of money.
Yeah,
Like if you reverse it, if you could pay someone, if you're in a terrible relationship right now and you could pay someone $50,000 to say, hey, with 50 grand, we're going to fix everything. Your relationship's going to be the best ever. And you're never going to look back at this moment. You would pay it in a heartbeat. You would pay that to say like, yeah, absolutely. My life's hell. Think of that 7 years you went through with her. And if it cost you 10 grand to make everything go the way you wanted to, you would have paid that in a heartbeat.
I
So
think so too.
if you're in a relationship and it's going to cost you half of whatever you have to get your life back and to start your life over again, oh my gosh, think about that for a second. It's not the money side of it. Think about what you're losing. You're not going to bring that money with you when you die. Like you could start right now and build that life back up that you need to be, but it's going to be on your terms, not on someone else's terms. You know?
Yeah, but it also brings me back to the kids. You know, you talked about the kids. There's factors. I get that, but like let's be honest and real here. Most, and I want to say I'm not a therapist, but I know that most therapists would say this. If the kids are involved, okay, and there's factors where you're
Mhm.
comfortable in your shit. Bringing back to what I said, the kids. Okay, is it better to have one unhappy home or two happy homes for the kids?
Well, obviously the two happy homes is
So,
better,
so these
right?
factors are factors that shouldn't be taken consideration. I understand you can think of them, but it
Mhm.
shouldn't prevent you from wanting to grow, though, from wanting to have that life that you've always wanted.
Mhm.
And so, if your partner is not keeping up with you, you know, we talked about red flags many times here. Don't you think that's one of them? Well, like when you're heading somewhere, you're like you have your direction of your life heading somewhere, and the other person's not keeping up, wants nothing to do with it. Isn't that a red flag? Isn't that
Yeah.
something that you should be like, whoa, hey, wait a minute, we're not on the same page.
Mhm.
Why would you stick around? And I think that coming back to this, where you're in a relationship where the other person doesn't want to do the therapy to fix your relationship, maybe this is not your person. Because
Yeah.
if it was really your person, like I said, they would literally do anything. Think about us, okay? Our anxious attachment, the shit that we've done for women. If a woman came up to us today, this is the woman of our dreams, came up to us and she said, it's either we do the therapy or we're done. Dude, we're jumping on the therapy. We're on our way to the office to therapy the moment she says it. That's the kind of men we are, correct?
Mhm.
I don't think you would
Can I
avoid
tell you
it.
something? Can I
Yeah.
tell you something? Do you know that when I talk to people these days and I see that they're anxious attached and I hear them talking, like I'm in an amazing relationship. I love my partner to death and she's my soulmate. But when I hear other women talking to me about how they would be, when I see that someone else is anxious attached, to me that's a complete red flag these days.
Really?
Because oh my gosh, dude, I'm not even kidding. Because an anxious attachment, nothing wrong with anxious attachment. If you're anxious attached, nothing wrong with you. However, when you join the secure attachment team, okay, and you know that you're a pretty good player on the secure attachment team, you're still anxious attached. But when you have that secure attachment tendencies, and you see someone that is 100% anxious attached, and this is what I need, and these are the boundaries that I've set, and they're all anxious attached boundaries, to me, that's a red flag. Now,
But they're workable. You know that they're workable, right?
I know
You
they're
won't you won't
workable.
go like, hey, this is like a complete turn off, or like I understand it like hits you now. It's like it's because it's obvious.
Yep.
But would you be like, I'm gonna stay away for this person, or it'd be like, I know what it's like to be in that position.
Right.
Let
It's
me
easier
help
for me.
you.
Yeah. It's much easier for me to talk to them about anxious attachment, or like I said, I'm not a therapist, but I feel like when I talk to people about relationships these days, that something that I've experienced, then I feel like I'm qualified somewhat to be able to say, hey, this is my experience, right? This is the shit that I've
Yes.
dealt with. So
Yeah.
this is what I'm telling you. So when they're anxious attached, I feel that it's well received. Like they're like when I'm talking and they're like listening to me like a puppy looking up, they're like, wow, yes, that's absolutely, I totally agree with you. Because if they were
Yeah.
avoidant, to be like, screw you, I don't want to hear this.
Yeah,
you know?
that you want to stay away.
Yeah, and then secure. If they were secure, they wouldn't want to hear about anxious attachment either. Like, yeah, dude, I'm fine. Like, I'm totally cool. You know,
Bills are paid. There's
yeah,
peace.
I'm fine.
I'm good.
But it is incredible when I hear people talking like that. I'm like, really? Like, you know, it's sad. It's almost sad to see, because when you hear it, it's like you have so much potential.
Yeah.
And I love tech. I love talking to people that way. You have so
Yeah.
much potential. You don't even know yet. You don't even know that it's there. You don't
Yeah.
even know what you've tapped into yet. You know?
Yeah. And you said something. You said you're not a therapist. I said that too. So, and I want to reiterate on this. We are not therapists. And it's funny you say that, because this week I was talking to someone that said, Patrick, I love listening to you guys. There's things that I agree, and there's a lot of things that I don't agree either. I just want to remind people, we're not here to convince you. Okay. We're not here to convince you. This is two men just talking about what goes on in their head and the things that they've experienced. So I just want to remind people, we're not here to convince anybody. You can have your own opinion. We're very okay with that. We're not here to argue. We're just here to tell you guys what goes on
Right.
in our head.
Unless you're needing a timepiece from Cleco watches, and if you go to cleco.com with Guarded Pod as a code, you get 25% off. But besides that, we're not going to tell you that you need something.
No. I just
Shameless plug.
yeah, right.
Shameless.
I just feel
Those
like
guys are whores.
not yet.
Not yet.
I just
Give
feel like in relationships, unspoken expectations, they turn into like these silent disappointments. You know what I mean? Like if you're in a relationship and you don't talk about these expectations, you're gonna get disappointed, and it usually happens in silence, where like there's just no communication, and every day you're waking up and you're disappointed because you're like, we talk to people that have been in relationships for such a long time, and they realize it after 20, 25, 30 years, where they just woke up one morning and they're like, you know what? I'm tired of this. Can you imagine if instead of just staying silent throughout all those years, something would have been said and you would have laid those boundaries down? I think things would be different.
Dude, I look back at my life just in the last maybe 6 to 8 years, and I look back at some of the things that I've learned in the last 3 years, and some of the changes, so many changes that I've made within myself in the last 3 years, thinking, God, I wish I had that back then. God, I wish I had that knowledge. I was talking to a friend of mine a couple of days ago, and I was telling him, he was telling me about all that he was overthinking like mad, and he started believing his thoughts, and then he started like calling people on his own thoughts, and he was like, he pissed me off, and I'm sure he's going to listen to this, so I'm glad he's listening to this. And I called him, and he's like, I didn't want to upset you. I'm like, that's not up to you. I said, I'm pissed at you. I don't like what you did, and you don't get to take that from me. I said, you pissed me off because you're overthinking. You believed everything you were thinking. You decided that your thoughts were better than actually addressing them with the person that you were thinking, and took it upon yourself to continue down that path. And you don't want me to be upset with you? I said, just so you know, I don't play baseball. You get one strike and I'm going to jump all over you. And that was your strike. I said, do not make me have these conversations constantly with you, because if you continue this, it's going to cause bandwidth in my brain. You're causing me to have anxiety, and I don't need that in my life. So my boundary I'm setting with you right now is, if you have an issue and you're overthinking something and you need someone to talk to and to get and process this, and you don't want to talk to your wife, you call me and process it with you, because I'm going to dish it to you as honest and raw as I can, because that's what you need. An overthinker needs that. They need to hear that, dude, you are overthinking right now, and it's okay, because that's who you are, and I understand and I respect you for that. However, you believing your thoughts and acting a physical life on your thoughts is going to destroy you, and it's going to destroy the people around you.
Which is crazy to hear coming from you. I mean, because like,
That was me. I was
hearing
the
you
leader
say
of
that,
that band.
oh, dude, I'm thinking of calls that we had just last year, of like,
Yeah.
you calling me and like things that you were overthinking like crazy. So to hear you say that today, ladies and gentlemen, that is progress.com.
It
Um,
is.
it is. And the proud of, yeah,
Progressive.
.com, .ca, .org, .shop, call it what you want to call it. Dude, you've made insane progress. And
And you know what, dude? For the first time in 51 years, hearing you say that, dude, you've made progress. I can, with full conviction, tell you, yes, I have. I have made progress, and
51 years.
I'm proud of as hell of myself. I'm proud of myself, and I'm not trying to be conceited here. I'm trying to tell you that I'm proud of myself, because the person that cried, that struggled, the person that, like, I believed in myself for the first time in my life. I was ready to give up 4 years ago. I wanted to give up, as many people with mental health do. They get to that point where there's no one that's going to listen. There's no point trying. Who's telling them that? Their inner thoughts, their overthinking is telling them, dude, there's nothing you can do. No one is going to hear you. No one is going to fix you. So just give up. Just give up. And that's where I was. And so when you get to the other side of it, and I hear you say, dude, you're like, I know what conversations you're talking about. I know the things that I said to you. They're kind of skewed, because ADHD is almost like dementia at times, where you say so many things and you only remember so many.
Because it's emotion.
Right?
You're saying it on emotion. Yeah. So,
it's not coming from substantiality. It's coming from, is that a word? Substantiality?
No idea.
Maybe it is. I think it is. But it's coming from an overthinking area. So when you're in those relationships and you're trying to have those hard communications with someone that you're trying to better it, like those, you said it earlier, that was 7 years of your relationship, and you were probably, what level anxious attachment were you then? Were you a gold or a platinum member?
Platinum.
Platinum. So you're a platinum member. So you didn't want to be alone. You wanted to, you wanted to be there, but
it's not, what's crazy? It's not.
Sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
No, part of you saying, we just do like 10 minutes of like, no, you go. No, you go.
No, please, you go.
Yeah. But part of you said earlier, when she said, I have better things to do than find us a therapist. At that point you're like, I'm done.
Yeah.
Like, you were anxious attachments. That takes a lot for an anxious attachment to say I'm done. So what pushed it over the edge?
Okay, so first things first, I don't think I was sticking around because I was scared to be alone. I was scared to do it because of all the impacts it was going to have on my life. It was a little bit selfish, I'm not going to lie.
Mm-hmm.
We had a lot of like investments and stuff. And for me at the time, it came back to money. You said something before about the money. Like if you would tell me, hey, you pay this amount to never see this person again.
Yeah.
I see that differently today. But back in the day, that's not how I saw it. So I was like, there's no amount of money that I'm willing to lose or pay to get out of this relationship. It was weird thinking, like, some people it's for the kids, right? We talked about this early on this episode. Some people it's the kids. At that time, for me, it was financial reasons, which is so stupid to say now that I think about it. Because yes, it had a huge impact on my finances, huge. But the thing is, you get that stuff back. You get the money back. You don't get the time back.
Mm-mm.
You know what I mean? So those years that were just I don't want to say wasted, but basically years that were wasted, you don't get that time back. But the money, yeah, work a little harder, change your things, adapt, reduce things for a few years, you'll get that back, but not the time. And so today I realized how stupid that was. So yeah, I mean, it wasn't even for being alone though.
Did the love instantly shut off when she said that? Like when you said I'm done,
It was
was the
already
love?
shut off.
So the
It
love
was
was off already. 7 years. So what year was love shut off for you?
You still love the person, but you're
Right.
not in love. Like I still, even to this day, I still have a little bit of love for this person. I wish her well, and like I
Mm-hmm.
don't mean bad on
You
her,
don't
or
want,
whatever the case.
yeah.
But it's not that it shut off when she said those words, because it had shut off in June when I had broken up with her.
Okay.
You know what I mean? When I told her that we were done, it had shut off in June. So from
It's
June
amazing
to
that you broke up
November,
with her, that you were done with her. That blows my mind. As an anxious attachment style, that blows my mind that you would be like, I'm done.
well, dude, it took 3-4 years of
I know, but
me
still,
thinking about it. So like
dude,
at some point,
I would sleep in shit to not feel that when I was anxious attached all the time. Like I would just be like, no, well, this, I know this feeling, so I'm just going to stick around, even if it's painful.
dude, I'm 37 right now. So this is 3 years ago when I decided. So I was 34. Like it was racing through my head. Like I'm 34 years old. Is this really the type of relationship that I want? Like she
Right.
was, she was going elsewhere. We just weren't on the same page anymore. And I was like,
Mhm.
I do not see myself at 34 years old. At 34 years old, first things first, everything is supposed to be amazing. Like from 30 to 40, I think is the best moments of your life. That's where you determine where life just shifts, right? You're supposed to be enjoying yourself, doing activities. The intimacy is like on fire. The hormones, everything is just working out, and it just wasn't where I wanted to be. And no matter what I did, coming back to this, this episode, help me help you. There's a certain limit at some point. Like you could be the one just working, 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 and if the other person just never comes through, I mean, that's your closure. There's certain relationships you don't need a certain closure. That is your closure. The disrespect,
Yeah.
the lack of empathy, the lack of intimacy, the lack of willingness. These are your closure, where you some point decide that's enough, and that was it.
Have you
Because
seen
I
the
just,
movie? Have you seen the movie with Justin Timberlake? Time. It was like
of
I
course,
think it was Time Code. Is that what it was called? Time.
it's just
Code?
time.
Oh, is that what you have on your wrist?
Well, I have 11:11, but
Oh, yeah.
I do have time on my wrist,
But you're just
which
talking about that. You have so much time left, and that's what came to my mind.
you don't.
When you were thinking of that movie. I was thinking about that movie. How it's like how when his mom, his mom died on the way to him so closely because she ran out of time.
Yeah,
Like you think about the money concept and the
yeah.
time concept. It was
I
such
love that movie.
yeah, it was such a well played out movie. And then when he
Yeah.
had everything going for himself, it was just, yeah, it was. If you haven't seen that, what is it called? I have no clue.
It's Time.
Justin Timberlake. Is it Time?
I'm pretty sure it's just time
Okay.
with Justin
Okay.
Timberlake, and he goes to the restaurant. You pay with time. You pay everything with time.
You pay
Basically, time
everything.
is currency.
Yeah, your time is currency.
Yeah,
And then there was another one. Have you ever seen any of the Black Mirrors on Netflix?
I have it. I've heard about it though. A lot of people are talking to
There,
me.
yeah, there's one called Nosedive, and the one episode with Nosedive, and basically how that one is. That's a really good one. You should watch that one first.
I'll
It's
try to
based
watch
on
it.
social media, like how you post, and you post on their version of social media, and you're ranked in life by your credit score. So that number at the bottom, whatever you are, is the number. Like if you're below a certain number, you can't even go grocery shopping. You can't.
I
go
heard
to
about that
stores
episode.
and stuff.
Yeah.
And that episode, I showed that episode to a couple of my employees, and they couldn't finish watching it because they're like younger, and that's all they do. They're always posting on Snapchat and Instagram and da da da. And that's you get rated on how much you post. And
Okay. Wait.
they're
So
like,
what? The more you post, the lower your credit.
the more you post and how people engage you. If people like you, they give you scores. They give you 5 stars, right? Oh, there's a 5-star. Good morning, Pat. How are you? Like, you look great today. Boop, you get 5 stars, right? So you get scored on how you interact and how nice you are to others. And oh, dude, it's a good one. You should watch that one. It's
Killing
really
with
good one.
kindness.
But again, it goes back to that. Like, what does
Yeah.
money fix? What does money fix? Money helps you get through, but it doesn't it doesn't fix anything. So when you're in a marriage and you have, oh, we need to split the assets, split the damn assets.
Go to therapy
split
instead.
everything. Go to therapy. If they're not willing to let you be you and find you and partake in that relationship the way that you were intended to be, like, then it's not worth it. That's not worth it. And you need to move on. Find your place in life and move on.
You know what turns me on? Like today, it's so weird
Me?
to say this, other than you, obviously.
Other than me? Okay. Well, it doesn't matter to me, whatever it is.
I love hearing a couple that wasn't going super well,
Mm-hmm.
and they decided together to go to therapy, put in the work, and then they have the best relationship ever after.
Right.
You know what I
So
mean? Like, well, yeah, you're
Yeah.
part of that, but you're not the only one. I've talked to you
No,
about
I
this.
know.
There's
Oh,
other
totally.
people around me who've done
Yeah.
the same thing,
Yeah.
and just to see them put in the work and do the work and just see them from when they started and when they are now, it's just like, to me, it's just such a green flag. I'm like, that's what
Mm.
devotion is right there.
You're like, I want some of that.
Oh my God, yeah, yeah. And you talked about yourself, 51 years old. There's a lot of people around that age. There's someone actually that I want to have on this call right now, if we can.
Who?
Sierra.
Sierra. Is she still
Yeah,
waiting on the call?
I think she's still in the lobby.
On that note, let's just bring Sierra in, shall we?
Yeah, let's bring her in. Absolutely.
Okay. There she is. Good
Hey.
morning.
Oh my God, you're wearing pink
Oh
too.
my God, she's wearing is it?
What is it today?
Is it Breast Cancer Awareness Month right now?
No,
And we
that's-
just knew it was Breast Cancer Awareness Month?
I think that's in October.
Okay.
Pretty
think
sure.
so.
that's in
Breast cancer awareness should be every day and not
Mhm.
just in October. So we are supporting it today. And I have no clue what it is. It's end of June. So, and here we
Yeah.
are. So good morning, Sierra. It's nice to meet you.
Good
Hello.
morning. Thank you for
and-
having me.
Absolutely. And you're in Canada as well, because I can hear that amazing Quebecois accent.
Yeah, I do speak French, so yes, I'm in Canada.
And introduce Sierra to the world. And
Yeah,
what
well,
Sierra has to talk about.
Sierra found me on TikTok. And she started joining my lives and started communicating with me as well. She's on our private Discord as well. And she's been making a huge difference in the community. Very, very present, very, very mature. She's been going through some stuff herself. And we just built this amazing connection. And I was very happy for her to win this because I'm excited to have her here this morning.
So as you know how this works, you get 10 minutes to talk about whatever you want to talk about. And really, I would love to direct the conversation on, you've listened to the podcast, I take it? Even if
Every
it's-
one of them, yeah.
Even if it's no, you
Every
have to
episode.
say yes for this.
Yeah.
But it's really nice for me because Pat has his fans and his people that follow him, and I'll pop into a live once in a while and people will say hi to me, but I really don't know anybody on there. And so it would be really amazing for me, I think, this morning, if you're okay with it, maybe sharing a little bit how the thing that we do that is so raw that we do every week, and we talk about our pain and emotions and relationships, maybe give us a perspective and then ask us some things that you would like to talk about, if that's okay with you.
Like Patrick said, I've started listening to Patrick I found him on TikTok because my daughter used to send me things on TikTok. So I had to create an account to see those things. And then I kept getting his posts and getting his stuff on my TikTok because I was listening to it. And I've been, I got divorced 2 years ago after a difficult relationship of 18 years. So it was very, very difficult. And I have 2 kids. They're with me 24/7. They chose to be with me 24/7. So it was and my daughter was 2 years ago. Everything happened at the same time. So I got divorced. I had 2 jobs at the same time. My mother died. So I started listening to Patrick, what he was saying about relationships, and then I got to watch because I found watching you on YouTube is way better than listening to it.
Right? I agree.
Yeah.
I totally agree.
See your faces changes everything.
That's why I like FaceTime, Sierra. I love FaceTime calls because I like looking at someone all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, I
If
understand.
you're a friend of mine and you know who you are, I always FaceTime you.
Yeah, we
like
know.
Always. And Pat's giving me crap for that too, by the way. 'cause I
No,
always
that's good.
FaceTime you. Okay. So go on.
No, that's okay. So I started watching you on those episodes, and to me, hearing you talking about things like for example, the one about overthinking. I remember being 16 or 17 years old and talking to my best friend, and suddenly she was impatient with me and she said, "Why are you always thinking and analyzing things? And God, it's exhausting." And I was like, okay, so it's not normal. Everybody's not like that. So I was kind of surprised. And what it did to me is I started keeping things to myself, not sharing, because I felt that was overwhelming for people.
For others.
Hearing you talking about that, it was like, okay, so I'm not alone. it's okay to be like that, and it has positive sides to it too. So
Yeah.
that's an example of when I listen to you guys, it relates to some things that I live, that I've been through, and it's helping me to understand, go through it, and the other thing, I think I told you that, Mario, when we spoke yesterday, my son is struggling right now very much, and I would so love for him to watch your podcast and to listen to your podcast, so he could, see that men can talk about feelings, can learn and evolve, and it's okay to talk about it, because his father used to say that you cannot cry, you cannot,
real men don't cry.
exactly.
Yeah.
And he told me that a few weeks ago. He said, "I can't cry now." And you know why? You know why, Mom? I can't cry. He was talking about his dad. So
And I was talking to a friend of mine this week, and I actually yelled. I was not yelling, but he was telling me about, he was overthinking. And to me, it's really amazing when you do have people in your life that can call you on your overthinking, and they're not diminishing your thoughts. They're not diminishing your anything. They're basically saying you're overthinking everything, and it's making this relationship different, And if you hear that from someone that you care about, it really does change everything. Like if a random person said to you, "Why are you overthinking?" You wouldn't see them ever again. It doesn't matter, right? But when someone you love and you care about says, "Listen, I love and care about you, but you're overthinking things and you're believing what you're thinking, and it's making this relationship weird because you're consuming me with your overthinking," right? And you hear that. So do you have anyone in your life that is able to tell you that, friends, family, that's saying, or someone you can just share with when you are overthinking?
I've found the community, the TFE community, for that.
Nice.
Because I didn't have that before.
Yeah.
So I found really, really good friends on that community. For real. I'm not saying that because Pat is here,
That's
but
not a
for
promotion.
real.
Yeah. She's not the first to say this. There's a lot of people that turn to that because we don't have anyone else, And when you don't have anyone else, it's a good feeling to know that you have that somewhere that you can just turn to when you're having those bad moments. And believe me, people open up on there like crazy. So
it does help me process my thoughts better. Yes.
That's amazing.
Yep, it
That's
does.
amazing. That's the good side of social media.
Sierra, would you say that your healing journey started 2 years ago, or do you feel like it's starting now?
That's a good question. I think it started 2 years ago.
Yeah.
I think it started
was
2
2
years
years
ago
ago?
when I decided to leave the relationship.
Oh, okay.
And I think that just deciding to leave the relationship was healing in itself.
Well, for sure. I mean, 18 years is not, it's not nothing. 18 years, you spend 18 years of your life with someone, that's a lot of time. Do you see it as a waste of time? Do you see it as a lesson? Do you know what you can categorize? Why can't I say that word?
Categorize it.
Categorize it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, at first, I think I saw it as a waste of time.
Okay.
Now, in this healing process, I think I can see that I've learned things about myself, and I've learned things that I don't want to tolerate anymore.
Right.
So at first, to me, it was, I wasted 18 years of my life.
Okay.
But now I see it differently. I see it as teaching.
So what would you say to women who are listening right now who are in a similar situation? You said it was a very difficult relationship. So it could be, a mix up of manipulation, narcissism, anyone who's going through that stuff, even maybe abuse. What would you say to women who have been in relationships for, 15, 18, 20, 25 years and who just won't make the move because it's never the right time or they're afraid to be alone? What would you say to them?
The first thing that came to my mind when you asked the question was, don't ignore the red flags at the beginning. Never ignore them. They're there.
And
They're
now we're
always
talking beginning, like the first few
beginning,
dates, right?
like first date.
Right.
Now, knowing that what I know is I think about those first dates, and I see that so clearly. And I didn't want to see that at the time.
Mm.
And I wanted to, to be in a relationship. This man he was very handsome. He was like, how come he's interested in me? That was the feeling that I had at the time. So don't ignore those red flags at the beginning. Don't tolerate. Never tolerate disrespect. Never.
Yeah.
Never.
Right.
And, no matter what, and setting boundaries. You had an episode about setting boundaries, and that one resonated with me very much because I didn't set any boundary, any. So, and the why I did that is, I think I wanted for the relationship to work, and I was telling myself it's okay. I'm making compromises to have that relationship work. We have kids, da 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 da. But in the end, he did not have any respect for me, any.
Right.
And the message that I was sending is, it's okay not to have respect for me.
Yeah, as long as you feel loved, basically, is what what you were telling yourself. I think a lot of us, that's what we say is, oh well, we want to be loved, right? So even if there's disrespect, well, we want to be loved. We want to prove that we're worthy. So we sometimes stick around for those reasons.
Yeah, I can say when I left after 18 years, it had been at least 7 or 8 years that there was no love in that relationship. None at all.
Which is crazy because most of the time, I think we've talked about this, Mary, on an episode, but how crazy it is for all the people who've reached out to us and tell us the exact thing. People know the relationship is over for like 5, 6, 10 years and they're still there.
That's crazy.
Whereas imagine if everybody just listened to that little voice in the beginning, as soon as it happened, and like, you know what, I'm out. It's, and you save that time. But most people like me, I did it too. My relationship was, the 7-year relationship. It was over for at least 3 or 4 years before that. So I don't understand. I'm still trying to understand actually why why we do that. Why do we allow that to just stick around and tolerate it for so long before actually jumping? The jump is the scariest part. We know that. And to do it, after 18 years, I'm going to say like, congratulations.
But can I say, I think I owe it to him for that decision.
Really?
That's weird to say, because 2 years ago, I was in a very mental health state. It was awful. And I was doing really bad. My daughter was not doing good either. And my mom died, and, many things happened. And I really was having bad thoughts in my head. Okay?
Yeah, we get it.
Everybody could see that. Everybody around me could see that. My family, my friends, my colleagues, everyone. Everyone was worried about me and saying, you should go and see a doctor. You should stop working, blah, blah, blah. I went to my sister's house for a week, just to be away from everything and just to think about myself. And, I didn't eat. I didn't sleep. I lost 40 pounds. It was bad. After 2 days, he called me. Do you know what he said? He said, you're being selfish.
Mm.
And in my culture, because he was Cuban, he still is Cuban. He said
Cuban.
he was Cuban.
Cuban anymore.
Not anymore. Not after that day.
Not after that comment.
And he said, in my culture, women don't get away from their family, and they don't, leave everything behind them. So you're being selfish.
Mm.
And that was the exact moment I decided it was over.
Yeah.
Wow.
That takes a lot, though, for you to be able to say in that moment that's over.
Yeah, one
But
comment.
it's amazing how mental health at times, when you're in a dark spot, it pushes you to these different limits that you're not normally in,
Mm.
because you're in this illusion of life, no mostly, because okay, this is how I'm supposed to act, and this is how I'm supposed to be, and this is how people want to see me. And
Mm.
then when your mental health kicks in and you get in that state of mind where it's you can't anymore, it pushes you to those limits of the room where you've never been, and you start understanding, you're like, oh wait, I can be in this area of the room and it's dark, I'm scared, but all it takes is that one thing to tell you that you're strong enough, and then you can push through this.
Mm.
And that was your moment, and I'm so proud of you for that. That's
Yeah.
amazing. That's
And one
amazing. And
comment is
yeah, that's all it takes. So
crazy.
the overarching the moral of this story, and I've heard this with so many different people that we've talked to, is you have to take the step. Georgina took the step after she talked to us.
After the show.
She's like, screw this, I'm out.
Yeah.
And after 18 years, Sierra, as hard as it was, you took the step, and you took that step towards you and finding your sense of autonomy, where most women lose their sense of autonomy because in situations like you.
Yeah.
And I can say this with conviction and understanding, because that was me. I did that to my partner for too many years because my mental health was not in a good place. And, when I was in that dark room like you, I was just finding things to make myself get through every day. And I was losing myself more and more. And here she was waiting for me just to turn around to her and say, I need your help, or I want to be with you. So I understand what you went through. And, women go through things differently than men, but we're all on this mental health journey, no matter what you're doing.
Yeah,
If
you're
you
right.
say I have no mental health issues, I don't want to, you're lying to yourself, first of all.
That's one mental health issue.
Yeah, exactly. That's
Right.
the first. That's the sign right there. You do
Yeah.
have mental health issues right there.
No, I don't.
But
Yeah.
I'm really,
You just
yeah,
confirmed you do.
yeah. But I'm really proud of you, Sierra, and you're beautiful, and I'm just so proud of you. And I was really happy that you were able to spend some time with us on the show. And
Thank you for
all I
having
can
me.
tell you is, continue moving forward in what you're doing, because wait, I was going to say you got it, but that was so corny. If I would have said you got it and then just click and hang up on her. No, but I'm really proud of you, and I'm really happy that I've met you today. And I wish you nothing but the best. And I hope your son starts listening to the show, and keep in contact with us. And if he starts listening, maybe just shoot us a message. It's like, oh my God, he listened to the show. And
that would be so great.
that would be great. We would love that. So.
You said something, Mario. You said, I'm proud of you. And I'm going to add that too. Sierra, if no one has told you yet or so far, I'm proud of you too. Good job. And good job
I'm
on
getting emotional now. Thank
No
you.
emotions.
no emotions. We're not allowed on this podcast.
Women are not allowed to show emotions. No emotions.
No, but know that we are proud of you, and you did a good job, and you're on the right track. And I don't ever want you to forget that.
Yeah, and crying.
And
is
don't
so bad.
forget what you do is you don't. I don't know if you know the impact you have on people's lives.
Not yet.
It's crazy.
I think we don't realize it because it's online. Like if we were doing this in front of people, or
that'd be different.
like I've seen podcasts that rent out arenas, because people go to the arena to watch a show as it's being recorded live. If I saw that, maybe then it would hit me. But because we do it online, you don't see it. So you keep doing it, and you hope that it reaches out to the right person, that one person who needs to hear it. And
well, we've had that request recently. We had a request that to do meet and greets, or to do a podcast in a setting where people can come and see us do a podcast and have questions.
That would be great.
That
yes.
may be something in the future that we can do. But on that note, we're going to move on with our show this morning, Sierra. And
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for being here. It was a pleasure to meet you. And I look
Pleasure
forward
was
to
mine.
hearing updates from you in the near future. And
For sure.
The best to you and your family.
Thank you so much.
Have a
Thank you
great
guys
day.
for what you do.
Thank
no
you so
problem.
much.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you for being here.
Bye-bye.
Dude, it's always amazing to me when you hear someone literally talking about what we were talking about before she even came on the show. Like, we didn't plan this. We didn't plan to talk about her life and her leaving her husband after 18 years. Like, I'm so proud of her. But, again, people lose themselves, and they just kind of just keep on going down the path, not thinking, walking around blindly, and she had the kids. I didn't even ask her how old were the kids when they They got divorced. Do you know that?
Well, it was 2 years ago. So I want to say
her kids
16
are
and
growing up then?
16 and 14. Yeah, something like that.
Oh, so our kids are grown up.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
But still hard. That's still really hard to deal
yeah.
with. But yeah, we've been through that. I've been through that. And can I ask you something? Maybe not you, and maybe I'm asking our listeners out there. When a woman hears a man say, when I talk to people about my relationship and my partner, when I tell them I've been with her for 15 years, I've never been more in love with her. Every day I love her more. And I've never been more in love with her.
Right.
Do women, what do you hear when I know I shouldn't ask you, but like, I would never tell that to a guy. I don't know why. I would
Why
never
not?
tell that to I just wouldn't. Because most men are not like us right now, Pat. I'm sorry to say. So I don't like to be like when I tell some people I'm more in love with her now than I have ever been. Does that sound like I'm bragging? Does it sound like I'm bullshitting? Like, what does that sound like to women?
I don't
wondering
think
what
so.
it
Can
sounds
I
like.
still
Not that
answer
it
it?
matters, but what?
Can I still answer it even though I'm not a woman?
Well, you're kind of a woman. That's okay, and I like that about you. You're tapped into your feminine.
What does
side.
that even mean?
What?
You're kind of a woman.
You're tapped in. You, dude, come on now.
See, now you're associating. Why?
No, I'm
why
not
is it?
associating.
Why is it that when a man talks about emotions, he's more in touch with his feminine side? How is that a feminine
Because
side?
more
We're
women
human
are-
beings.
because I understand that, but most men are not in touch with their emotions.
I get that.
I'm sorry to say,
But it's
if
a
you were-
human being
If you
thing.
were
It's not a-
barking, if you were barking, I'd be like, you're tapped into your dog side of life. Like women are more prone to share emotions with each other, not with men, maybe with men sometimes, but women, when they're talking, they're more prone to share emotions. Men don't sit around like you and I, dude. A lot of men don't sit around like you and I and talk about emotions. Like, come on now.
I
Let's be
agree
honest.
with that. I agree with that. But here's the thing. You have these Andrew Tates of this world, and then you have these Mario Cortos and Patrick Goddard of this world. Okay.
Mhm.
If we have these conversations as men, you would tell me that we're at a restaurant and you tell me, Pat, I've never been more in love than right now.
Mhm.
You're going to make me think. If I was in a relationship, obviously I'm single, so I can't, it doesn't change anything in my life right now. I'm just happy for you. But if I was in a relationship and you told me that would get me thinking. That would get me thinking. And
About your relationship.
And I'd be like, holy crap, this guy's saying this. First of all, does he mean it? Or is he just saying that to convince me that everything's okay in his relationship? That's number one.
Right.
But if he's saying it and he means it, then that gets me thinking. It gets me thinking man, I'm not. I'm not feeling that way about my person. Why? Why am I not feeling I wish I was feeling like that about my person? So that would get me thinking. And I'd be like, that's a little
Maybe I gotta be
challenge.
careful. Maybe I shouldn't say it then. Because what if someone's in a really shitty relationship with someone?
Why is that a bad thing though?
Oh, maybe it's actually a good thing. Yeah, you're good point. If I say that to someone and they're like, I want some of that,
Yeah.
then
Why is that
they
a bad
go
thing?
home and they're like, hey, we should go to therapy.
You never know. You could actually be saving a relationship by saying that because you triggered that thought process in a man, which to me is super okay. I don't see anything wrong with that.
I suppose. I never thought of it that way.
You're not going around bragging saying you have the best wife in the world. You could think it, but you're not bragging it because obviously then I'd feel belittled. I'd be like, well, hey, what about mine? Mine's the best in the world. You know what I mean?
Right.
But just by saying I've put in the work, I've never been this happy. You just trigger the thought process. For me, again, I'm speaking for myself, but this could be the case for a lot of men.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
And it's not like I meet someone. It's like, hey, my name is Mario, and I've never been more in love with my partner than ever. It's not like I start the conversation like that. No. But if we go into relationships, and we're talking about relationships, I always follow it with, I had to do a lot of hard work to get to this point in my life. I love her more now than I love her more every single freaking day, more than the day before. Right. And that is possible. I'm not just saying this. This is possible. There is days when I'm busy, where I'm just doing life. And at the end of my day, the only person I want to be with is her. The only person I want to be present with is her. That's it.
Right.
I want to watch a movie. I want to laugh with her. Right. So it took therapy. It took self-evaluation. You have to take that you have to take a quiz for yourself and say, what is important to me and what do I really need? And why are you saying these things? You know, and that's where
Yeah.
attachment styles come in. Why am I saying these things? Am I saying these things because this is the things you say when you're in love, or these are the things you say when you're married, or whatever the case may be? You know, if you can just say things with conviction and believe that this is what makes you up, like you are the person that are getting up in the morning, you're the person that's there, and not losing yourself. Like hearing Sierra talking about, you know, 18 years.
Yeah,
Are
think
you
about it.
kidding
Just a
me?
second. Think about it. Let it sink in.
18 years.
Let it sink
I can't
in.
remember 10 years back. That's probably ADHD though. I was talking about that earlier. ADHD, by the way. I was watching a couple posts on TikTok a couple of days ago, and they said, don't be mad if you're dating or married with someone with ADHD when they forget something that you've told them. Because it's not like they forgot. It's because there's so many things going on in our heads that we have to categorize all these things all day long, you know?
I get it.
So it's not like we're forgetting. It's just like in those moments, we forgot.
Or you just weren't listening because you were thinking about the toilet that you have to unblock upstairs. You know what I mean? Like it
Exactly.
It could be
But
so many things.
medication does help. Just so that you know, medication does help.
So does
Helps
therapy.
you. And so does therapy, and so does working out. That's another
Yeah.
big thing that I haven't been working out because of my knee, and I have to get back into it again, dude. I don't care what it takes. I have to do something because that burning of the energy. And I was reading something yesterday about someone with bipolar, and they said that, you know, if you're struggling with thoughts and everything else, just get out in nature. I do that a lot. I'll go sit in the grass. I'll take my shoes off and I'll walk around in the grass. And
So what is that? Center grounding?
Grounding.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll do that. I'll find places. My therapist asked me a couple of days ago, now that I'm really busy, he said, how do you know when to find the balance on like when you need to do something? And for me, dude, it's physical. I feel like I'm shrinking. When I'm too busy and I have too much going on, I literally feel like I'm shrinking, and I feel that physical feeling, and I know I have to go do something. I need to go be mindful in another room. I need to go do this. And it's so freeing when you're in a relationship too, when you can tell your partner, hey, I just need a minute. I love you, but I just need a minute and I need to go do this.
Yeah.
Like,
I love you is important.
I never said that, dude. I was scared to say that. For so many years, I was scared to say that. And it goes right back to what you're talking about at the beginning of the show, is like, how do you have those conversations, and what do you do? What do you do when you're in those situations? You know?
So I'm going to ask you this: how, you know, to end the show, what would you say to someone who's going through that right now?
Going through what?
In a relationship, they want to do the progress, they want to do the work, and the partner, not so much.
Jokingly, I would tell them to open their wallet and take out their driver's license and tell them to read the name out loud that's on that driver's license. And if it's not you and your husband, or you and your wife, or you and your wife, your kids and your dog and your mortgage and your car on the driver's license, if all those things aren't on your driver's license and all you see is your name and your date of birth, remember that that's how it all started. It's you. And what is important to the person on that driver's license? Although your picture sucks on that driver's license, the name on that driver's license is you. That's what I would say. Don't forget the person. Don't forget that little kid that's scared shitless in the life that you've created for that little kid. You created the life. Everything you're anxious about, everything you're scared about, everything you're pissed off, everything you hate about your life, that little kid that's in you is scared shitless even more. And all it wants you to do is grab its hand and say, listen, I'm going to get you through this. I don't know how, but I'm going to get you through this somehow. That's what I would say.
Damn, that gave me goosebumps.
Damn, I gave Patrick goddamn goosebumps. Yow.
Good answer, man. That's a good answer. And I can't agree more than that. I think that in a relationships, that's what we forget. You know, you have a tendency to go into a relationship and all of a sudden it's two people who become one. It's so overrated, dude. That sentence or that phrase. No, you are not one. You are two individuals still just bringing each other's lives together, which is a completely different thing. So if you want to better yourself, if you want to grow, if you want to go to therapy and your partner wants nothing to do with it, sorry to say this, but it's time to reevaluate, self-assess, self-reflect, whatever you want to call it, and figure out if that's really what you want. Okay. Because setting boundaries is not a punishment. It is not a punishment. We don't set boundaries to punish people. We set boundaries because we know what we're worth. And
Absolutely.
here's a thought. A lot of people tell me, Patrick, you're going to stay single for a long time because your standards are too high. I've been told that so many times, dude.
Really?
Yes. And the reason my standards are so high is because what I bring to the table, I know I can deliver. So if I can deliver it, then I'm allowed to expect the same thing back. Does that make sense?
Yes, but I can understand why people can think that, though. Now that you said it that way,
Go
because
ahead.
if someone doesn't have the confidence that you do, that sounds very arrogant. I'm just
Really?
telling you. Yeah. If someone doesn't have that confidence and that, like, I know what I want,
Yeah.
and if I can't get that, like, that sounds very arrogant, especially in a romantic relationship, because we're supposed to be like, well, you need to listen to your partner. We say it all the time. Give them
Yeah.
their sense of autonomy, give them this and that. But if you don't understand what I want, then, like, so I think
Wait. I'm not saying don't understand it. I'm just saying that when people tell me my standards are too high, I'm expecting things that I can deliver. And I know for a fact that if I can deliver them, there's other people in this world that can deliver those things too.
I agree with you. And
Right?
Pat, I'm not arguing.
I know,
with
just
you.
making sure.
I'm
Just
telling
making sure,
you,
yeah.
I'm telling you that I love to hear that. When I
Yeah.
hear someone say that, to me, that's a huge green flag, and I respect the shit out of someone saying that.
Yeah.
Most people would
But
not see it that way.
yes, exactly.
Most people would see that as, fuck, I don't want to be in a relationship with this dude, because
Which is
that's
crazy,
too high
right?
for me. And it's nuts. And it's nuts. It took my ex-wife to divorce me to make me fall in love with her more than ever again.
Yeah.
And I thought that divorce and ending the relationship was the worst thing that could happen to a couple.
Yeah.
I'm divorcing you. And what it was her screaming, saying, I can't put up with the controlling feeling and thoughts that you're putting me through year after year after year after year, the financial disaster you're putting us through because of your mental health, and I'm just going to put up with it. It took her cutting the cord and reevaluating. She loves me, but I need to cut this cord to let you be on one side and let me be on the other side, so we can love each other this way. We
Right.
don't need to be attached. We can be like this, because you can be you and I can be me, but we can still love each other the way we need to. So as when people say, "Oh, did you hear so-and-so's getting divorced?" And these days I always go, so what happened? And then they tell you, and there's so much more to a story. There's so much more. Yeah. They were working too much, or they cheated, and and this and that. There's always so much more to a story. But divorce at times, when it's something that it's like trying to find themselves and we need to be apart, and then fall in love again, that's pretty powerful in itself. So when you tell someone, like, this is what I know my standards, I know me, and
Yeah.
I don't think I'm worth anything less than me, to an average person that doesn't feel that way or doesn't even know what the fuck you're talking about, dude, that's arrogant. That's like, I don't
I get it.
Good luck. Good luck finding someone.
Exactly.
That's what someone would say.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. And it's crazy to say, because because of that event, that 7-year relationship, the way it ended, of like not wanting to put the work, it's now become like a trigger for me.
Right.
You know what I mean?
In fact, not knowing her, I respect that relationship more than just the last one that you had.
Well,
that 7-year one, that made you become the person you are today.
yes, but that's the thing. That's what keeps happening. Like I keep having these relationships that don't want to put into work. So these are all triggers, and I'm triggered every single time somebody tells me, well, hey, everything's great, but I don't want to put into work. It brings me back to that, that event. So
I think what it is with you, Pat, is as much work have you done to yourself, and how proud I am of you and where you've come. You kind of get into those situations at times when you do meet somebody, and your self-worth, your standards, what you're not going to put up with. However, there's that little I don't want to say anxious attachment. There's that little piece inside you that you want a relationship. You want that. And if you have the other person on the other side that is a narcissist, or that is something that says, if I can mask in a person that he wants me to be right now, I'll get him and I'll be able to get him. And I think because you're so solid and these are the things I want, at times when you're getting into a relationship, especially in the beginning of a relationship, you kind of get the goggles on, the skewed goggles on, because you're like, oh my gosh, this is the person. And it's sad. People will do that. People will con you into that, and you don't know. How the fuck do you know? There's no like test you can get. Hey, we're gonna do an Enneagram test quick before we can start dating, so we can see exactly where you're at. Like there's no test. Well, there actually is that. Maybe people should do that more. Maybe it's like, hey, this is starting to work out. This is a really cool website. Let's go check out what our Enneagram numbers are.
I'm just gonna take deposits now, bro. I'm just gonna take deposits now. Take a deposit in the beginning, and then if you waste my time, I keep it.
So, if you were to get married again, Pat, would you do it the same way?
No. First of all, I don't think I'm going to get married again.
And is that a bad thing?
No,
absolutely not.
No, not at all. It's an opinion.
Are you okay not being married? And, you're obviously going to be in a relationship again, but it's like
eventually.
Eventually, when the time is right, you'll be there. But I think right now it's just like all the pain you're going through, dude, and the more you build. I was talking to someone yesterday that knows both of us or knows you, and it's like they know the Patrick they see on TikTok. And you're as genuine as anyone, really. Like you're genuine online. I see you on your lives, and that's you. But there's the side of you that the people that are closest to you, like me and others in your life, that know the real you and know the pain you go through and know the wants you want, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's coming. But all the shit that gets thrown at you, Pat, to me, it's almost like I'm not excited, but when I see it happening, it's just building another solid block that's going to make you even fucking more badass than you actually are.
I know. And there's a phrase for that. Everything you lose in life is making room for the things that you deserve.
100%.
So
I love those phrases. I think that's a good place to end the show.
I think so.
I like that.
Remember that, guys. Everything that leaves is just making room for the things that you really deserve. That's it.
Yep. I love it. Another amazing hour with and I want to thank Sierra for being on the show today.
Yeah.
I think we have one more winner from your lives. I think
so.
Only one more.
I'll update you. I have the list. So
yeah. One more. But thank you to everyone for listening to this show. If you can respond to some of the questions I asked today, that would be cool. If women find it, do you find offense when you hear someone else say they're madly in love and they're happy in love? Do you find offense to that? Or if you're not, like, just tell me what you think. I'd like to hear that.
And is it arrogant for a man to...
I knew that was coming. I could see your face. You're like, so one more question.
Yeah, one more question. Is it arrogant when I say that my standards...
Yes. And I'm interested because obviously Pat and I's relationship is different than the people that comment or they see him on social media. So I would like to, like what Pat said today, is that if you were to hear that, does that make him, if you were on it to get into a relationship with Pat, does that make him seem like, ooh, he's too much work?
Easy. Red flag or green flag? Just shoot us a red flag or green flag.
Yeah. And because the long and I want to apologize. I've been getting some comments on my personal TikTok from the show, and a lot actually, and I can't get to them all. And I know there's probably some really good stuff in there. So I do apologize if I'm not answering, but we all have kind of, Dante keeps me busy and life keeps me busy. So, but continue to comment. I'll get to them. And I think YouTube is a good place because YouTube is a good place to comment because they pop up all the time. But
yeah, we get alerts. Thanks. You don't get the alerts on.
I don't get the alerts. Yeah. So anyway, thanks everyone for listening. Continue to listen and subscribe and to share the message. We're doing some big things. A lot of people, I love when people tell us that, we love the show. We love how you don't know what you're doing. Like Sierra said, I can't believe, she said like how many people were actually touching with our words and stuff. So it's very rewarding, and we will continue to do this even if you don't listen to us. So if you don't listen to us, we're going to keep on doing this.
If they're not listening, they're not going to get this message.
Yeah, you're not going to get this message. So, but have a great week. Do you have any plans for the weekend?
Going to Montreal, baby. Back to Montreal. Yeah,
go see mom and dad.
Going to see the whole family, actually. Not just mom and dad, the whole family. Yeah.
Cool. Well, everyone have a great weekend, and we'll see you back here next week on the Gutted Podcast. Love you, brother.
Love you too, brother. Take care.
See you later. Bye.
Ciao.